Good morning, guys. So I'm gonna be completely honest with what is going on with Dragon Balloon right now, just to be totally upfront about it. I'm tired. I'm still working on it. This morning, I got through to Break Into 3. I worked on this book Monday, not yesterday, and today. Today's Wednesday. And yeah, I got through the bad guys close-in section. It is so underdeveloped. I mean, the problem I usually have with Save the Cat, where fun and games is underdeveloped, it's bad guys close in. And a lot of it is just that time I took away from the book, those couple of weeks where I was developing the fantasy side of the story, which was definitely worth it. I'm working that stuff in now, but because it just doesn't match so much of what's at the beginning of the book, it is just increasingly harder and harder every day for me to fight the voice in my head saying, you know, you're going to have to start over on this and rewrite so much of it, so what's the point of finishing? And I know the point of finishing. I said this last week. The point of finishing is that if I stop now and I go back into brainstorming and plotting mode, I'm gonna lose my momentum. I need to finish this draft. I will learn more about the world and how I want this story to end up by writing an entire first draft, no matter how terrible, than I will by once again hitting the brakes and going backwards. I just know myself. And the other thing is that I started this book in, was it December, November? I can't remember, but at the end of 2020, and every single week without fail since then, I have worked on it in some way and vlogged about it. And it is freaking mid-June and I am tired of this book. This is just a long time for me to spend on a book. I tend to write fast. I get drafts out quickly. Again, that's usually because most of the books I write are either ghostwriting or IP projects. There are other people involved in the project, and so the process just goes a lot faster. It's just been a long time since I've done this on my own. And I decided on something complicated like having a story within a story. So I'm really trying to develop a book within a book, and it's hard, and I need a break. I need a break from this book. But I'm going to feel so much better about it if I just finish it, no matter how terrible it is. And I will say this, as much as I will totally admit I am rushing through this and the quality is really, really abysmal, there have been moments where, like Monday, where I'm happy I'm doing this and I see the value in continuing on. I got to a scene on Monday where I think I've talked about Logan, the main character. Her older sister passed away before the start of the book, and there's like a whole lot of secrecy and things surrounding her death, and I was going through this scene and all this action was happening, and then suddenly I got to this point where I realized, oh, here's this really big emotional beat for Logan where she realizes a thing, she kind of admits something to herself and to the reader and to the other characters. It's a big deal. It's pretty much the moment that sends her into the all is lost, dark night of the soul, you know, that low moment. And I was dictating, and I realized I was at that point, and I kind of stopped and slowed down and thought more carefully through everything that I was dictating. And I haven't gone back to read it. I'm not letting myself do that, but I felt good about it as I wrote it. So it's things like that, like moments like that where all the brainstorming and plotting, blah, blah, blah in the world aren't going to do me as much good as just getting that beat actually written out. And I know later, whenever I come back to this book, when I have the completed draft and I look at it, no matter how messy it is, I'm going to be happy that it exists as a whole thing. Okay, so anyway, that's where I am. I am leaving for Seattle. So excited. Next week, the end of next week, and I'm gonna have this draft done by then. I've got just the third act to go, and it's probably gonna be way shorter than it should be, but that's okay. That's what this draft is gonna be. So that's where I am right now. Today, it is a little after 9 o'clock. I've got Lisa's live stream in an hour. What I have to do today, because another one of my goals before I go on vacation is I wanted to get another course up on Skillshare, and I spent all day yesterday filming and starting the edits of that course. It's a lot longer than my first one, so it just took a lot of time. It's about writing a great book description, something you can use for a query letter or, you know, a blurb on Amazon or Jacket, Flat Copy, etc. I've done some videos on that, like the query formula, for example, and I do use the query formula, of course, in this course, but I really go a lot deeper into it, like break down every component of the formula, gets its own lesson, and we talk through exercises you can do to develop that. And I got to analyze a lot of really great book descriptions. I spent hours looking up just random book descriptions that I thought were good and picking apart why I thought they were good. And honestly, my TBR list has grown quite a bit since doing this. There are some really interesting books coming out this year. So that's going to take all day editing this course, because there's a lot of overlays and like screenshot things that I need to create in Canva and work in, and it's fun, but I really need to get that done like in the next couple days. In fact, if I have it finished by the time this vlog comes up on Friday, then I will link to it. I'll put a pinned comment. If it's not done by Friday, which is very possible, then I hopefully will get the course up over the weekend. And again, I will, whenever it's ready, I will pin a comment down below so you guys can check it out if you like Skillshare and you like writing courses. So I have a whole bunch of emails and little tasks to take care of before Lisa's live stream starts. So I think I'm going to do that first. And then later, I have something else I need to tell you guys about. I have been hit by the shiny new idea bug hard, but it's not so much an SNI, it's more of an SOI, shiny old idea. Do you guys ever have that, where an old thing that you thought you had shelved and it was gone in your folder, locked away in your brain ages ago, all of a sudden comes like rearing back and you know how to fix it? That's happened, and I'm trying to talk myself out of making it my Camp Nano project, because I keep kind of failing at Nano. But I kind of want to make it my Camp Nano project. We'll talk about it later. Okay, right now I gotta get to some emails. Okay, so pretty productive morning. We were chatty on that live stream. I maybe didn't get as much editing done as I would have liked, but I don't think that was so much. This is really angled wrong. So that wasn't actually the live stream's fault though. I just always, you would think after a year of making videos, I would be able to correctly estimate how long it is going to take me to edit a video. And I'm getting better at it with like my vlogs and things like that, but oh my gosh, with anything that's like a writing workshop, YouTube video, or a course, creating those overlays, it takes me longer than I think it's gonna take every single time. So I still have a ton of work to do on that, but that's okay. It is only 2:14. We will get there, but I just wanted to kind of talk about what I was hinting at earlier, not really hinting at, outright saying, I'm gripped with the urge to start a new project. Now, is this because I am tired of working on Dragon Balloon? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, if you guys saw my previous vlogs, when I was really developing that fantasy story within a story, I was very tempted to drop everything and just write that as its own book. That was my brain trying to distract me, because I really did consider it, but that story belongs in Logan's story. When I really started thinking it through, like how I would end it, it has to be part of Logan's story, and that's what I want it to be. That's like my ultimate vision for that book. So It's fine. That was my brain trying to just distract myself from finishing the draft. I am going to finish that draft. But this isn't exactly a shiny new idea. So I think I have, in fact, I know in many of my videos I have talked about years ago, the one time I ever tried pantsing a book instead of plotting, and how the resulting draft was an incredible mess that no number of rewrites could solve, but it was the most fun writing experience of my life. And I still, even though this was like 2012, 2013, I still to this day feel like it was some of the best writing I have ever done. It just felt very creative and freeing. And the world building. I love this world. This was a middle grade time travel adventure. I am a sucker for time travel. So yeah, it was called Warps, and it had multiple protagonists. And the problem with that book, the problem with the first version of that book, I went through and I read all of my old versions over the last week. I have to say, I feel like I need to sit down and write letters of apology to my agents and all of my beta readers, because holy crap, they were so confusing. The problem with the first draft is that it was super fun, but felt like a giant prologue. It didn't really have its own arc. It was like 60,000 words of setup. And setup to what? I don't know. I was still figuring it out, you know? Set up to nothing. And then I tried revising it and it didn't work. And then I thought, okay, I'm gonna replot the entire thing. I'm gonna start from scratch. And I did that, and I wrote a new version of the book, and it genuinely was a new version. Not like the same characters, same world. I did change a lot of the world building, because one lesson I learned early on is that if you make it too easy for characters to time travel, it is impossible to plot, because anyone could go anywhere at any time, and that like takes the suspense out of a lot of scenes, you know? So I did change a lot of the world building, but mostly I changed the plot. It really did have a completely new plot, especially the second half of the book, completely different draft. And that one was its own book with an arc. There was a definite beginning, middle, and end, but holy God, it was so confusing. So much was going on. There were five points of view of like main characters, like kids, 12, 13 years old, who were the protagonists. But then there were also a few scenes where you just jump into like the villain's point of view for a couple pages, this character's point of view for a couple pages. And like, even I wrote the thing, and I was reading it, and I found myself struggling to keep track of what was going on. It was way too complicated. And yeah, so that ended up getting shelved like in 2014, 2015, I think. But the world building, oh my gosh, I remember, so when I wrote that very first draft, and of course I had no idea how flawed it was, I was just so freaking proud of this book. And I had it beta read, and I do think, I think it was Kirsten Hubbard was one of my beta readers on this. She's my co-author of the Secrets of Topsy series, and she is a great critique partner, and she has no problem being really honest. And she did give it a lot of compliments, but say it kind of feels like a time travel romp with no plot. And I did revise based on her notes, but I didn't do what I should have done and really rewritten it. I wanted to send it to my agent. So I did a revision. I didn't take her notes the way that I should have. And my agent was really excited to read it. And when I told her the pitch, she was into it. And I remember she'd had it for about 3 days, and I got an email, and I should have looked it up, but you know what? I'm gonna go look it up. I found the email. Dated June 11th, 2013. The title of the email is Really Enjoying. Imagine getting this email from your agent, okay? Here's what she said. Only at page 65, but so far so great. Very cool setup and a kind of classic feel. Plus, very Men in Black, really core middle grade, which is right on what I want. Back to you when I finished, hopefully within a few days if I can get a few more windows to read. I vividly remember this. I was on the train and we were crossing the river when I read this email. I saw it pop up and I was like frantically trying to get it to open before we went underground and I lost reception. And I was like overjoyed because I know my agent. At this point, she had already sold a few books for me. And I could tell this was after all of the early Olive in the Backstage Ghost, those rewrites, like that whole drama. So I knew when my agent was excited about something, and I knew when she had to give me some tough love. I knew her well enough by then that I was able to gauge it. And this was her excitement. She was gonna have it read in less than a week and get back to me. And at that point, she was on page 65, like she was a good chunk of the way in. I thought I was gonna be going on sub, like real soon when I got that email. And you know, honestly, I think she did too. Because the first 50, 60, 70 pages of that book, I say this having just reread it for the first time in a while last week, they're fun as hell. It is a super fun middle grade adventure. She named Men in Black as a comp. I had not mentioned that to her, but that was exactly what I was going for. And it was like supposed to be Men in Black, but time travel instead of aliens. She nailed it. And yeah, I thought I was going on sub. I thought that was it. And then she finished reading it, and then we had a super fun phone call. And thus all of the rewrites began. The problem I had with that book was that I love those characters. Those 5 characters are like the most real in my head of any characters I have ever created. I know everything about them. You remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the project I was going to rewrite and then I failed for NaNoWriMo in November, The Thing from Coney Island. I took those characters when I couldn't make warps work and I aged them up into YA and I put them in that book. And that book got like 3-4 different versions and I couldn't make it work there either. And the reason is because the plot was completely tied in to who they were to each other, to their relationships. Specifically, this was like the core of the whole thing. One of the characters was a girl who rescues her father from a timeless prison. Only when she breaks him out, he's her age. It was very Back to the Future inspired. Back to the Future, that trilogy is like my favorite trilogy of all time. Sorry, Star Wars. Sorry, Lord of the Rings. I rewatch Back to the Future, all 3 movies, at least once a year. And I love the idea of a kid being with her parent, except they're the same age. I couldn't let go of that. And there's a whole, I said there were 5 characters. There's more to it than that. And like who they all are to each other, if that makes sense. There are certain things of the plot that I couldn't let go of because I couldn't let go of that. And that's why no matter how many times I tried to rewrite it, it just wasn't working. It just got more and more complicated as I tried to explain why all of this was happening. One day I will figure that out. I have not let go of those characters. I'm gonna figure out The Thing from Coney Island one day because I know that's the world they belong in. It's a totally different world. There's like some time travel-y stuff, but like a very different setup than I had in Warps, if that makes sense. Anyway, enough of that. So what I needed for this world, as I was reading this stuff, I was like, okay, so I need to scrap the whole girl and her teenage father Back to the Future thing. That's not happening. I need something a little cleaner. And then I started thinking, I have always, ever since I read the Artemis Fowl series, not when it came out, because I think that book was like early aughts. It's been out for a while. I think I read Artemis Fowl, the whole series. I binged the whole thing in like 2011, 2012, something like that, right before I started writing Warps. And I absolutely loved it, and I have very much ever since then wanted to write a female anti-hero middle grade character, like a ruthless 13-year-old girl who's just like a criminal mastermind. And I think this is the world for that character. And I've been brainstorming, like, it's kind of been for the last, I don't know, 5-6 days, it's been my reward to myself. If I finish all of my work by 3 or 4 p.m., then I just have this brainstorming word vomit document where I'm just rambling out ideas for this book. I went through and I like copy pasted a whole ton of stuff from all of the original versions of Warps, just the world building stuff, into a document that I think I could use. And just looking at the different settings and the things I imagined, I could already see sort of plot beats starting to happen. And then I was working on this book description course, and as I was working on that in my head, I was like mentally taking my own advice to like write a little description of what this book would be. And I think I have like a pitch for it. And I mean like a good, you know, like a back cover, jacket flap, whatever you want to call it, 2-paragraph pitch. Like, I know what the story's about. I know how it starts. I know what Act 1 is pretty well. I know what the midpoint kind of turning point is. And the ending is a little bit more vague, but like, I'm on my way with it. And I'm so tempted to just say I'm gonna draft this during Camp Nano. But as we learned in April, I keep overcommitting myself with Nano, or I keep being like overambitious with my word count goal and what I can actually accomplish. And in July, I'm going to be teaching a teen writing camp, like a live camp, 2 weeks. It's only 9 to noon every day, and if you have a day job, I know you're probably thinking, stop complaining. But I'm not used to that. I'm used to making my own schedule completely. And plus, it's not all I'm doing. I still have my regular workload of some ghostwriting stuff. I have some book coaching stuff. I have, you know, just my own things, little freelance things going on. And yet, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, as I've been talking about for the last, I don't know, since early March, the thing with Dragon Balloon that was like slowing me down a lot and giving me troubles was I reimagined the world. I had to do a lot of world building work. And the idea of jumping into a book where, man, I know that world inside and out, no question. Now that I have the right character to put in that world, I want to say that draft would come out real fast. And it's very exciting. I really want to do it. Okay, talk me into Camp Nano. Tell me in the comments, or tell me don't do it. Tell me to take my time. What do you think I should do? I don't know what to do. I'm very excited, can you tell? I really want to start working on this. I realized rereading those books, as messy and I don't want to say problematic, as many issues as they have, the world and the adventure part of it was so fun. Even just honestly, even reading my agent's response in 2013 to the first 65 pages, even that is like getting me a little bit excited. Like, maybe I could see it through this time. Maybe I could send her 200 pages that she feels that excited about. Wouldn't that be great? Okay, anyway, that's probably enough rambling for this vlog. That's where I am. Let me know how you guys are doing with your writing. Tell me to do the thing. Tell me not to do the thing. What do you think I should do? I'm all ears. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you Monday or maybe Tuesday, depending on how long this course editing takes me, with another video. Bye.